There is no way he just said this. Jerry Jones has gone rogue. He's nuts. He went insane today, and we'll break it down on this episode of Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Cowboys Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we're going to be breaking down the ridiculous comments that were made and the ridiculous threats that were posed by Jerry Jones today on local Dallas radio. But before we do that, before we unlock the spiciness of this episode, I want you guys to know that around 85% of you watching these videos are not subscribed. So go ahead, hit that sub button. We're close to my goal of 2,000 subscribers. It'd mean the world if you could help get me there. You guys have been killing it with the support. Cannot complain, but go ahead, hit that sub button. Let's get that number down a little bit. But let's get straight into it here. Jerry Jones didn't like getting questioned about the Cowboys offseason during his appearance on 105.3 The Fan. Your job isn't to let me know to go over all the reasons that I did something. That's not your job. I'll get somebody else to ask these questions. I'm not kidding. Now, first of all, Jerry Jones does not pay the radio hosts at 105.3, and he doesn't really pose any threat to their job security. I guess what he can do is buy the radio station outright and just get rid of all of the jobs. I guess that is an avenue that he could take, but that is a level of pettiness that if I were a Cowboy fan and if I were to witness that, I'd say, why don't you put all that time and energy into putting a good team on the field? I think that's where your focus should be. And then this is what Shannon Sharpe had to say on First Take. I hate, I detest, I despise someone that will prey on the weak. If the Cowboys don't win another playoff game or another game as long as Jerry Jones is the owner, I'll be the happiest man in the world. And that was Shannon replying to Jerry Jones threatening the Dallas radio host. And again, it was a threat, and the guys thought he was joking because he's usually in a playful, joking manner when he does joke around with them. But I guess he was serious. He was serious about this one. I believe it was Shannon and JR, if I'm not mistaken. I'll fact check that for you guys. But yeah, it was just totally out of line by Jerry Jones. I mean, I guess the threat that he's saying there is he can move to a different show on that network, which is entirely possible, but in order to go ahead and fire them, that doesn't make too much sense to me. And if Jerry Jones put this much anger and energy into trying to improve the Cowboys like he did with this radio interview this morning, his team might be a lot better. Yeah, Jerry. And Jerry is a very interesting character. He is amazing as an owner when it comes to dollars and knowing what to do with them. Jerry Jones is second to none. That's why he has the most valuable franchise in pro sports in the world. He is a genius businessman. He is a financial mogul. Call him whatever you want to call him. He's great. He's great behind the scenes. He's a terrible GM. He's a terrible president of football operations. And I guarantee you that he has his fingerprints all over that playbook that Mike McCarthy is using every single Sunday. Now, don't mind me, but I think that playbook is very old school, very 1950s, very 1960s kind of football there. Maybe Jerry Jones has something to do about that. I don't know, but Jerry Jones is great in the stuff that made him the owner of the Cowboys, which is the financial side of things and getting the most out of the brand of the Dallas Cowboys. But let smart football people handle the football decisions. Now, he's made some good decisions, and he's made some awful decisions. And he's also kept guys for too long. He's had an affinity for players that were over the hill. He's had an affinity for coaches that were not getting the job done come playoff time. He doesn't make those hard-hitting decisions. He's too passive. He is too passive in that role. He needs to hand it off to somebody that is going to transform this team into a grinded-out kind of team. And Bill Belichick is the perfect guy for that job, but he will never cede the amount of power that he has. So Jerry Jones, as long as he is in charge, he's going to be making the football decisions. He's going to be making the front office decisions, and everything to do with the Dallas Cowboys is going to have to go through him. That's the way it's been ever since he's been in charge. Jimmy Johnson had that run at the beginning there, and that's why they won those Super Bowls when Jerry first came in. It's because there was direction. There was a clear hierarchy. Yeah, Jerry, you might own the team, but I decide what goes on in between those lines, football-wise, personnel-wise, whatever. That was the pecking order. That was the hierarchy when Jimmy Johnson was in charge. Now he's been hiring a bunch of yes men. I think Mike McCarthy is a good coach. I really do. But he's getting his legs cut from under him. He's not allowed to play the team that he wants to play them. Mike Zimmer is a good defensive coordinator. I really believe that. And again, the personnel is just not there for him to be able to play the team the way it's supposed to be played. There is talent on this roster, but they're very top heavy. So aside from CeeDee Lamb, aside from Dak Prescott, and I don't know, maybe you could throw Tyler Smith and Zach Martin, even though he didn't look great. Aside from those four guys on the offensive side of the football, who are stars? Who are stars for the Cowboys? Not many. And aside from the defensive side of the football, where you have Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Trevon Diggs with his effort, I don't even want to call him a star after last week, even though he is. But my point stands. There isn't the amount of depth on this team that there needs to be. And you look at all the teams, all the best teams around the league, yeah, sure, they might have an elite quarterback and they might have one extremely elite player, and that helps them in their pursuit of a Super Bowl. But you look at the Ravens, they have an MVP, and then they have great depth around him. You look at the San Francisco 49ers, maybe not an MVP-level quarterback, maybe not even a Pro Bowl-level quarterback, but they have the necessary pieces around him to the point where it doesn't matter. And I think that is the blueprint for the Cowboys. You need to have depth. You need to have star players, and you need to draft well. And the Cowboys haven't done any of that. And Jerry Jones about to make more changes to the morning show than he did to his football team in the offseason. Yeah, that was a great tweet, by the way. Shout out to that guy. So, yeah, it was RJ and Shan, and then Bobby Belt as well, I think was the one that asked him the question on 105.3 or 103.5. Yeah, 105.3. I got to start listening to that show, man. I was listening to it today, and it's comedy, it's entertainment, and that interview with Jerry Jones was great. They asked him hard-hitting questions, and they did not shy away when Jerry challenged them, and they went on and talked crap about him for the rest of the show, saying that he doesn't control their paychecks, he doesn't control whether or not they have a job the next day. So they're going to keep doing what they're doing, and they're going to keep echoing the sentiments of the Cowboys fan base, and as they should. They should be doing that. And these are a list of things. This is a list of things that, the radio hosts were kind of hinting at. Your team is 0-3 at home. You didn't make it into the end zone not once on Sunday. Your franchise QB threw 2 interceptions. Still no improvement on the run defense. 0 wide receivers outside of Lamb, and Lamb throwing hissy fits every Sunday. Gave up your best running back in free agency to bring back someone who averages 2 yards per carry. Almost gave up a 50 ball at AT&T Stadium. Teams aren't taking you serious. You have 0 answers. Reporters have a right to ask the hard questions. So shout out to Brittany Bowen for that. She's right. She's absolutely right. And this is a tweet that I thought I would throw in there. Firing 105.3 radio hosts. Firing the GM, which is obviously Jerry Jones himself. So Jerry has his wish. He has a football team that is basically his toy, his baby, his shiny new car, and it has been for the past 30 years. So good on you, Jerry. You make a lot of money. The brand of the Dallas Cowboys is arguably the biggest in the entire world. No one is disputing that. But when it comes to football decisions, you want your fingerprints all over this roster. You got it. You got it. So people are going to call you out when the team doesn't perform, and they haven't performed since 1996. So if you want to go out there and say, this team is all because of me, every decision that has gone on with the Dallas Cowboys in the past 30 years has been going through me. So if you want to take all the credit, you can go ahead and do that. And I'm sure Bill Belichick will be happy to allow you to take all the credit. But don't go out there and become defensive when people challenge you on your shortcomings. Jerry Jones has failed as the general manager of the Cowboys for almost 30 years now. He has failed time and time again. They haven't been to an NFC championship game since 1996. So miss me with this BS here. You want your fingerprints all over this roster? You want to be the one constructing a winning team? You have that. No one is challenging your authority here. But at the same time, when people call you out and when people ask you, Jerry, what went wrong, and you don't have an answer for them, you could see why it's a bad look. These radio hosts, RJ, Shan, and Belt, they were right to ask this question because Cowboy fans want to know, why didn't you spend money in the offseason besides on players that were here internally already? Why didn't you try to improve this team through trades? Why didn't you hire another head coach after a lopsided loss to Green Bay in the playoffs? Why didn't you make any changes? Why are you okay with coming into the season with a worse roster and expecting a different result? Those are the questions that people want answers to. And Jerry, instead of giving them an answer and saying, oh, okay, maybe this is a transitional year. Maybe we're looking to build through the draft this offseason. That would have been fun. I think Cowboy fans would have been happy with that. Instead of blatantly lying to our faces, trying to convince us that you're all in when we all know that you aren't. It is painfully obvious that the Cowboys are not a good football team this year. It is painfully obvious that you did nothing to address that. The noticeable holes on the roster. You did nothing to fix that. But yet again, you sit there and you lie to us Cowboy fans, expecting us to buy that garbage, expecting us to believe that you're all in, when you refuse to fire the head coach, when you refuse to make an in-season trade, when you refuse to pick up a free agent. I'm not saying to go out there and get Devontae Adams. That ship has sailed. I'm not even saying to go out there and get Amari Cooper, but do something. Because for you to get embarrassed 4 straight games at AT&T Stadium, that's pathetic. But hey, it's okay, because there were 95,000 butts in the seats. So that's what matters. Jerry is raking in the cash, and there is no incentive for him to change anything. So, Jerry, this is your fault. This is your fault. And if the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, you're going to take all the credit. I don't doubt that for a second. But if you want the credit when the glory comes your way, be ready to, face those hard-hitting questions when things aren't going right. And they haven't been going right for almost 30 years now. Miss me with that BS, man. Come on, Jerry. Don't lie to us. Cowboy fans are smart. We may be delusional, but we're smart. We don't like being lied to. And we don't like being told something that is not true. All right, Jerry? So that's all I got, man. That's all I got. I got fired up. You might not see me tomorrow. Maybe Jerry's going to have me replaced. Maybe he'll make a couple of phone calls, and I won't be able to talk to you guys anymore. If that's the case, it's been real, guys. I appreciate the support. But after today, I don't know what to expect from this man. You may see me tomorrow. You may not. But until then, go Cowboys.